They haven't settled into the meta, etc. But this is at the end of the week, so there's been a little bit of build-up. But also, almost every time these teams match up against each other at the beginning of the season, it's a banger game that goes 3. It's incredibly close. It's down to the wire. One late game decision decides the game. Very rarely do we have blowouts between these two, so this is kind of going with that trend. And it's always been very hype to watch, again, all of these veterans clash early on in the year.
I just cannot wait to see what happens here in game number 3. I think this is it's an absolute treat that we have Fearless Draft as well, because we get yet another opportunity. Oh man, we do have a chance of getting another classic Faker pick. So it needs to be. It can't be Azir, but it can be Orianna.
Can be, but
so that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean it was banned, of course, last game because of the synergy that was set up there in the draft. But maybe they'll go through this time around. You don't necessarily have to have a Nocturne or in a Fury to pull it off, but both of them are, of course, Fearless banned as we move into this third and final draft, where T1 does have blue side.
Yeah. Do we see the Varus ban? That is the question.
I think so.
As we're diving into it, we've got the blue flashy, and it's Yone instead. Oh, well, the bait and switch.
They can force Gen.G to ban it, since some of those other prio picks are gone.
Yeah, I do think it's first pickable now, as Vi obviously a important one as well. Although. No, it was the counter into the Xin Zhao. I'm like, oh, maybe it's the Kha'Zix angle. You know, last pick Kha'Zix from Canyon. Something absolutely crazy.
We have seen crazier things, and literally that thing that you just mentioned before.
Yeah, that was in one of the T1 Gen.G finals.
Yeah.
Where was that? Was that the Kunlun final? I think.
Yeah, I think it was. I think so. There's so many fantastic finals between these two teams, but Ashe is going to get removed here first. Again, kind of saying you're going to ban Varus on red side.
Yeah, this is the Varus please, or the Kalista please.
See what that final ban does end up being. Jace removed once again. So no Jace in this series.
I mean, it has to be Varus. It has to be Varus.
Varus is just so strong in lane, so strong in terms of setup on objectives, and Guma is one of the best Varus players to ever touch the keyboard and mouse, is renowned for this pick, and it will be taken away from him.
Sejuani is now up and available, something that Owner has been very, very good at. Not exactly making everyone super excited or anything, but Sejuani has been very powerful.
I think it's a solid pick here. Yeah, picks like the Jack's still available.
True.
Very flexible.
There it is. So this is definitely a lot of value to come over to T1. Of course, you mentioned the Jax, but Camille is up. Like, there are plenty of things that you can synergize really, really well with the Sejuani. Aatrox still up and available as well, something that Keen and Doran have been great at in the past.
I think that could be where Keen goes blind here.
Ooh, could be an opportunity. Canyon also wondering what he wants to take into the Sejuani. See whether it is something a little bit more aggressive, perhaps. Maybe it's a Trundle angle. No, it's probably not a Trundle angle. That is the Victor. Okay, wow.
Okay.
Oh man, are we going to get Victor Orianna in our Fearless Game 3?
It certainly could be. Especially what comes with this. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Canyon just throws a curveball and locks Elise in, and just says, look, I'm very good at this pick. I'm confident on it. I can outplay the Sejuani with this.
Doesn't he have a Elise in look in his eye?
He does kind of have that look in his eye. He has that little
a glint. There is a glint. You're absolutely right. And it's going to be
Lilia.
It was a Lilia glint. And that is not the 2v2 that I was sort of banking on. Certainly two champions that are very, very strong, but we're going to need a whole lot of AD to come in from the rest of the map.
It's a lot of Gen.G. It's two squishy AP targets as well that aren't going to do very well if they get caught by a Glacial Prison. See what the answer is going to be. Jack's stocks are pretty high here, but Aatrox also incredibly strong in this situation against these squishy targets. Caitlyn! Nerfed Caitlyn. Guma pulling it out.
I mean, when it's Guma, I think that maybe it just brings Caitlyn down to real life. This guy is so incredibly good at this champion.
I mean, when you have Sejuani for your front line, and you have these two squishy targets who aren't great at getting on top of a Caitlyn, you feel really comfortable with what she's going to do in team fights once she gets out of the trough. But there's almost nothing that can stop you in the 2v2 that's left available in this game. So might have to see something a little bit creative from Ruler. He's not known necessarily for that creativity. The Jax feels obvious with the Sejuani locked in. There's no Gnar in this game. Is Keen bold enough to play GP? It would be a lot of AD damage that they so desperately need.
Oh, K'Sante comes in instead. That makes me feel less excited. I think the GP was a masterstroke there, Wolf. I think that would have been very, very cool. There's already a lot of circles that we can see that have been put together, but instead, K'Sante, I mean, it's Keen Sante, right? Like, this is definitely something he's been very, very good at. He can absorb a lot of pressure, but still.
Also consider, like, they don't really have any tanky members so far without him, and there's no frontline, and if if Duro plays a really tanky support, then he's playing one of those supports that's going to get crushed by Caitlyn in lane, so I think trying to opt for having some sort of backbone of your composition does make a lot of sense, and you can stave off the pressure of this Caitlyn with this a little bit better. And the Jax as well as Jinx will be the ban here.
Yeah.
Ruler is super famed for this pick.
Yep. Not going to be able to match the ranges. The Pyke ban is interesting. Like, why not ban Lux? Because I imagine that's what he kind of wants to play here.
Well, you know, they will have counter pick for Duro, regardless of what it's going to be. But again, I mean, nothing really stops these Caitlyn lanes that's left available right now. You're going to have to try to punish her out of lane, I think, more than winning the 2v2.
And the crazy thing is, I kind of feel like Gen.G probably want to just lock Karma or something like that. Something that can go toe-to-toe in lane.
That's what I'm feeling like. But, you know, do you want to go, what do you play Karma with is the question. Like, Karma Zeri doesn't sound too thrilling, but I do think you need some sort of really consistent late game hyper carry like a Zeri if you're going to compete with this T1 lineup, with the AP lineup that you have already. Like, you really need something that's going to do that consistent damage. I think Jinx would have been perfect. Obviously banned away. Ruler looking a little quizzical.
Oh, Twitch. It's Twitch. It's a Twitch angle. As it's a Xayah. Never mind, that's Xayah angle.
That's not the angle that makes me feel the most thrilled, if I'm honest with you. I think it's going to struggle in the early laning phase. It's safe, but it's just very low range in general.
Yeah, it's the range problem that is going to be there. Of course, with Jax and Sejuani already represented, having Featherstorm is going to be pretty important here for Ruler to try and keep him alive.
I wonder what Faker will end up playing here.
Oh, Brad.
Hard coming through, feels good here. And I mean, this lineup, again, for Gen.G is very low range. So really easy to set up combos with the Sejuani ultimate.
You can use the Tempered Fate to fish for Featherstorms as well, if Ruler is ever out of position. And I would hazard to say that at some points in the last game, he was somewhat out of position.
You might get your Orianna Dream here. I mean, Jax could be a ball carrier.
Yeah, actually feels pretty good.
It's quite decent into Victor. Talia somehow surprisingly still up.
Yeah, it's kind of
with all these bans, and actually will feel pretty good here too. And when you have the Xayah on the other side, champions like Talia feel so good because you can bait out the ultimate, and once it's gone, you just know that Xayah can't play the game. She can't get to the target she needs to hit.
It is Ruler. He is very, very good at this champion. It was sort of the meta where Ruler really did make the game kind of unplayable for everyone else. That's the crank.
And Duro was known to pull out the crank in challengers. In fact, I think it was he who did it when we had that big meme where I just...
Yeah, I think he was actually the crank.
Yeah. And Duro, I mean, he's very good at this pick, and I think it does, to a certain extent, kind of save the laning phase if he could hit those hooks, if he could actually make the plays, because Lilia isn't necessarily going to bail you out of that lane, unfortunately. A lot of other, maybe AD junglers could have actually come down there and really put the punish on to a really hard-pushing Caitlyn. You can lane swap once, so you can get out of that tempo for just a moment, but eventually Guma will match you. And if Doran has the advantage, which he should, going to often actually be the first ones to swap and deny you there as well. So there's a lot of ways that I feel like this early game goes incredibly well for T1. It's a T1 Guma Caitlyn draft. It's the Guma fans' dream, right? It's exactly what you want to see. I think there's a lot of agency in Gen.G's draft, and they have a ton of damage. It's just not safe damage. You know, it's the damage that Lilia can set up. The burn from Lilia and Victor will tear through anything, but they have to live long enough to do it. And with the Xayah being so low, she can clean up if she can live long enough to do so, and that damage does come through. It's a lot of ifs, but I think it played perfectly. There's a really high ceiling with what Gen.G put together.
Not to mention, the crank always means that if you get a pick, you can kill someone. That is just what happens. Picking off the Sejuani and Jax is going to be a problem, but elsewise, they have so many options. As Gen.G, I think a risky draft, but one that they can make work. Let's jump into the Rift for Game 3. I love this. It's actually a competition between our fan chants here in Lol Park. T1, I think, still louder, but Gen.G is starting to catch up, right? It's like we're not just T1 and the rest when it comes to the fandoms here in the LCK.
Absolutely.
As the Tiger Nation starting to come alive.
It's crazy. I remember in 2021, you know, I felt like we were talking about how the Gen.G brand hadn't taken off yet.
Yep.
It didn't have the same oomph to it that the Samsung legacy had. It wasn't quite there yet. But after Gen.G won a lot of LCKs, a lot of titles, I think the fan base kind of exploded and grew. And I think even though it was quite popular still in 2021, where it is in 2025, 2021 Wolf couldn't have imagined like how big this team would have gotten and how successful and consistently successful it's been across multiple rosters. Really only matched by the team they play against on this very stage right now.
Yep.
In T1.
I think HLE as well, getting a lot of fans after their LCK run as well as the first stand. So certainly starting to set ourselves up with a lot of pretty established orgs here in the LCK. It's great to see. Strovie and Faker fighting one another. Faker with some pretty good close range rocks there, as we can see. Victor really wanted to have Death Ray available as, a trade of skill shots. Duro missing, unfortunately, there. As I think you can miss a couple of Peacemakers and be okay with it. You miss a hook, you lose a third of your mana, and it's a long time before you can do anything ever again.
When you miss the Q at level 1, you're just a pillow to punch, you know?
Yep.
You actually are just a health bar that goes down if you stand near anybody after that. Has an opportunity to go for one over the wall here now, but it's too risky and isn't going to opt for it. So you miss that one, and then Caitlyn crashes the wave. And that is the Caitlyn lane. And that's why Blitzcrank can counter Caitlyn if the hook hits. And that's why, I mean, not counter, but at least give you something back. But when you miss, it's still Caitlyn doing what Caitlyn does.
And Keen able to walk out of the way of this Counter-Strike. We'd have to keep our eyes on this top lane. I've always really liked watching Doran play the Jax. I feel like he is one of our better team-fighting Jaxes. Even though, you know, Keen has sort of made his name as the side lane Jax monster. Doran really just understands how to weave in and out with his Counter-Strikes to get as much value as possible. And have a looking here towards the bottom side of the map. Ruler actually, after that wave crashed in, only missed one in comparison to what Gumayusi was able to pick up. That is not bad at all.
Yeah, well, the worst it could be for sure.
Doesn't Duro kind of look like a bad guy from Xenoblade?
Yeah, a little bit. He does have some serious turn your chin down, glasses go white kind of anime villain energy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he is good at that. And then the Blitzcrank skin is what I was talking about. But Duro, like you were saying, like just himself certainly has a bit of that energy.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying about the skin though. But
yeah. I swear I fought one of those.
I feel like
playing last night.
Duro, if he has those anime glasses on, there's a lot of screens behind him. You know what I mean? On the wall.
Yep. All right, Peacemaker coming on down. And T1, once again, I mean, this is going to be the first plate. This is just exactly what Caitlyn and Bard are supposed to do together.
Yeah, and even though they can't break and then topple Duro, they certainly can push him in.
Yeah. As it turns out, Duro's aggro range just isn't that large, and you can just kind of walk around and everything's fine. Hook is going to connect! And the Blade Caller comes on through. Gumayusi staying alive. The flash comes out, but he's in the alcove, and then he's dead. Carrier trying to play Gatekeeper, and Owner's moved on over as well. Duro going to be able to get the knock up there, and it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, but I think Gen.G are okay with how this one has eventuated. Gives him the good old thumbs up, and finally does take down the Xayah.
Yeah, so that's the hook you're looking for. That's the one. All it takes is one. You get that angle, you do the damage, you end up getting the kill. And I think Carrier and Guma felt pretty comfortable because Owner was in the area that they could actually commit to this. You can see where he is on the minimap right now as Carrier wraps around, but Guma just barely caught by the edge of this. It's a nice angle on the hook from Duro, and Guma just instantly deleted. Sure, he lives longer here, flashes, plays it well to try to buy time for Owner's rotation over, but he still ultimately dies. Because Owner rotates over, though, it is a trade, and Rula doesn't build a bigger lead than he could have otherwise done if Owner wasn't here.
Yep. Canyon going to be able to have some extra information with the fact that Owner did have to head down towards this bottom side, but it looked like there wasn't a lot on the map to be capitalized on, outside of the fact that Canyon was then able to get himself a couple of camps in the lead.
Yeah, small advantage for him due to the fact that there's a small creep advantage, but still an advantage to Owner because he picked up the kill in terms of the gold between these two. And still fairly sizable CS advantage there in the bottom lane. And you see Guma is heading up topside now, where Ruler and Duro have swapped themselves. Grubs spawning in 15 seconds here. And this is where the first fight will inevitably erupt. In terms of advantages and level 6s, nothing really to write home about right now.
Yeah, bowling ball, spotting owner there.
Doran doesn't have his ult just yet. Oh, he's not
Chovy
here.
is in a really uncomfortable spot, but the rest of the team are going to move on over. There's the flash in, gets the knock up and then the hook. But Ruler unable to quite find it here as Owner goes out with a magical journey. Weaver's Wall just to try and save Carrier, and T1 will be able to reform the Phalanx.
Wild flash there from Carrier going in. Doesn't get anything for it, as we are just going to reset here a little bit. Double stun is pretty big.
Yeah, you can see Owner here as well under a little bit of fire as Gumayushi fighting Ruler. Guma wanting to get a few of these autos, but Ruler gets into the fog of war. Duro is in so much trouble. Knockup does come in as Canyon. There's a lot of bad guys here. Ruler trying to offer the damage back. Owner is in trouble, but he's calculated it, and he will survive. A disaster for Gen.G around the Grubs.
Yeah, it looked so good for them to start it off, but this comp is so squishy. And Canyon, no real way out of there, tries to get over the wall and head his way out, but just is caught after Guma chases him down. Faker picks up that kill, and
damn.
Ruler is still Xayah into Caitlyn, as it turns out.
He was playing that one very, very well, though. I was a little bit worried for him, 1 versus 2, but did have the turret, of course. And one thing I was really worried for is Chovy's positioning was not great. Having a look at here now, this is after that position, as Ruler starts it off looking quite nice, but
he chases
T1 outplays them.
Yeah, he chases Owner so deep that Guma has a massive health advantage and can push him away, so he can't offer any damage back as Duro goes down. Then Canyon takes a magical journey here and is just right into the waiting arms of T1. Tries to get that kill counterwise onto Owner, but is unsuccessful. So there being a big win here, and 800 gold, the lead now for T1, plus that Grub advantage.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they didn't secure any afterwards, so I take it back.
Okay, well, Chovy is going to throw down the gravity field. And Faker going to get caught up by that. And the hook comes in once again. 2 turret shots onto Carrier. Chaos Storm means that Drew actually picks it up with the last tick of Ignite. And he's going to get flung back with the seismic shove, but he says he does not care about that one bit. Man. This guy is blitz. Game 3, the youngest player on the Rift.
The least
and he's made so many plays.
Yeah. And that's, you know, if you pick Blitzcrank, you've got to be making those plays. You've got to turn them into successful ones. And 2 big ones already. It's like Ruler watched MSI last year, and he was like, get me a support that can play the crank. That Lehens guy was doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I remember that Lehens guy. He was pretty good.
You guys have a history of some crankers. Yep. I need one.
Oh, man, I remember that show. That was great. Crank Yankers. It was just about prank calls. It was very weird. Anyway, Duro's going to get caught out. Oh, the trap. Just barely. Not going to lock him down. And that's even without Merc Treads or anything like that. Duro able to make it out after the Cosmic Binding did come in.
Scary time, but does get out with his life. The lead is kind of faded here for the moment.
Yep.
Just 200 gold now. Doran will catch some of this and go back up again, but next fight likely to be on this Dragon, where T1 have a lot of vision at the moment to control wards and a ward on the entrance from Gen.G's jungle. As finally we're going to take these Grubs down.
Yeah, there's going to be Owner taking the last one. And yeah, it was a bit delayed, but in the end it is a bit of a trade here, so no one getting any advantage. T1 does have the Feats of Warfare, because the first 3 kills, of course, going over to them in that phenomenal skirmish. As Duro wanting to look for a hook there, but Carrier just takes a magical journey. He's going to be okay. Possible crank angle, as he just Hex flashes his way over. And I think one of the biggest benefits here of the fact that Duro's been playing super aggressively, the early game went okay, is the fact that Ruler can actually exist in the lane.
Yes.
Because it could have been way worse.
Absolutely. That one hook that he had really helped stave off that Caitlyn pressure quite substantially. Keen here is Cassante.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if this will be successful.
I think he has the all-out as well, and he's going to use it. Brings Doran underneath the turret, and there's the Glacial Prison. It was all a bait, ladies and gentlemen. And Doran even grabs himself the kill. Teleport here from Chovy just to try and make sure that they can get some of this experience and deny the extra plate.
That's the Doran angle. Not sure if misplay or the biggest bait of all time.
and I reckon Canyon was sitting there. He was like, oh, that's what I should have been doing. Just using him as a bait this entire time.
Well, that's going to be plate gold going over to the top lane, going to the mid lane as well. And Duro wants an angle on Faker here.
All right, well, Duro is just going to light him on fire, lands the hook there. Bowling ball is going to connect. Seismic shove to buy some space, but Faker's getting sleepy. It's getting late in the day, and Chovy burns him down with the Death Ray. That should now be an angle on the Dragon if they'd like it, but the bottom lane for T1 is pushed really far up as this cannon minion finally will be taken down. Keen unable to get that one.
So much plate gold, even with Duro's punish there. Starting to feel absolutely worth as more money for Guma, more money for Faker. Doran's picked up so much.
Ooh, that minion. That was a pesky minion.
Certainly. But a pesky Caitlyn continues to eat away at this as Owner takes the Dragon. It's a late first Dragon take here, but it will be T1's as there's no answer from Gen.G whatsoever as more and more gold goes over.
And it's so likely that T1 just pick up feats of strength as well, because this Caitlyn not taking first brick just means that she's not really being Caitlyn. Gumayusi has historically been very good at being Caitlyn, so it's likely that they're able to make that one work. Doran as well here in the side lane, if left unattended, will just bonk this down with his lamppost.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how many plates they've gotten. We'll have the counter and the exact number of gold in 2 minutes time, but I mean we're still building them up.
Yeah.
Right now they have, if this one cracks, which it looks like it just barely will not, it's 3 plates here topside, 1 mid, and then 3 bottom. I think Doran will likely get that crack on this plate with just a little bit of minion touching it.
It's the ridiculous part is the fact that Gen.G have got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been able to get any control of any of these lanes, even with the picks that they've gotten.
And Doran walking up, and we'll just get pulled back. There's another all-out here as Doran is going to take another turret shot. This time, he's dead, ladies and gentlemen, although doesn't land the Q, and Keen not going to overextend because Owner is obviously right in position. Carrier tempered faded himself preemptively.
Yeah.
That was a sick play. Did you do that on purpose? That was so cool.
Not 100% sure, but it looked cool in the end. And, Owner was there with his ult and flash. If he was just a little bit faster, that would have been a second bait by Doran into another kill onto Keen. Hex flash.
Yeah, looks for the hook angle. I mean, you just got to take those. Take the chances that you're given. Not actually going to be able to find it, though.
No, not this time.
Man, I am proud of Keen. Even though he's about to lose his turret, feats of strength are going to go over to T1. If that was me, I would have been running into that alcove and I would have 100% died and been tilted off the planet.
Yeah. No,
instead, Keen,
patience.
He is just able to walk himself back. It is going to still spell the end of his turret, and Doran will be able to get so much extra gold here. You can see 1.5k and feats of strength, my god.
Yeah, 1.5k feats of strength. Doesn't change the fact that there's still 3 plates down in the bottom lane either. Gen.G weren't able to get anything cross-map from this. They tried to make the play mid. Carrier with the Tempered Fate, totally fine. The Hex Flash into the hook doesn't connect. Guma's got his Collector online. Seraph's about to transform here for Faker. And T1, similar story to game 1, pretty significant early game lead.
Well, there's Captain Jack from Ruler. Doesn't want to use his ulti, happy to use the cleanse, and just walks it off. No Featherstorm required. That was nicely played, but still, that is a bigger cooldown in the cleanse.
The complete counter.
Wow, that's 9. Gumayusi going to flash, as Duro is really getting so much use out of this Hex Flash. I could not be more proud.
Yeah, and there was nobody nearby, which of course Guma didn't know, but getting into his head a little bit with that one.
Yeah, and getting a Caitlyn's flash at this stage of the game, really, really nice.
Yeah, we're heading towards the trough now as...
All right, another hook and another flash!
Another one. This guy just keeps making these plays happen. He's just where he needs to be, and he threatens. And again, this time there was at least Ruler nearby, but I don't know if necessarily Carrier 100% dies there, 100% needs the flash, but he just isn't sure. And he's like, better safe than sorry. So now both bottom laners down.
Another Tempered Fate comes in. Has to flash to get out of the way of that seismic shove from Faker. T1 now all grouped up. Doran is so scary as well, now that he is grouped. And Keen is on the top side. Teleport in hand. But it does mean that this Dragon in a minute and a half, what T1 are kind of looking for.
Yeah.
Not a lot else to fight for as far as this bottom lane is concerned, but this tower should just be going down, and that is what T1 are looking for. They're just trying to open up the map, take as many structures as they can.
I mean, with the natural prio that a Caitlyn gets in bottom or mid or in top, if she's lane swapped up there, they're just saying, okay, Caitlyn's fine, she'll start to narrowly stack up these advantages. Lilia can't punish very well. Let's just come and hover around Doran on this Jax and just let him kill the things. Oh,
yeah.
His top lane, he's pushing all the way up. Owner Shadows lets him kill the things. Bottom lane, they group, he kills the thing. Like, he's most of this gold lead, really, just from killing all these plates, killing these turrets. 1.5k the advantage over Keen. I mean, he was a slightly ahead Jax, and now he's giga fed.
Yeah, this is a very ahead Jax. But mainly just from playing the lane better, having a jungler that was ready to help him out as well. Him and Owner have actually played this one extremely well. And now the Rift Herald just going down, slowly but surely here. Canyon in position to try and contest. Seismic Shove going wide. And that gives Canyon an opportunity to go in. Information advantage here for Gen.G. As it is going to be Owner with the smite. An early one there, unfortunately, for Canyon, as Owner has to flash to get out of the way. Keen tanks up the Seismic Shove nicely. And he is not going to be able to re-engage as they get some information. But out they go. Carrier looks for the Tempered Fate. Does lock down Keen. Oh, Doran actually the first one to fall in the fight. Keen eventually falls down as they trade top laners. But Owner is going to be safe. And it's a 1-for-1 with the Rift Herald going over to T1.
Yeah, really close fight. But T1 ultimately walk away with the prize.
Yeah, I think the eye is now going to get picked up by Faker.
Yeah, it looks like.
Got a bit of a drive-by there.
Actually,
wait, did he? No.
Nobody got it.
Where is it?
Nobody got it.
Oh.
Just didn't get it.
I thought he was early enough. Never mind.
I thought so too, but fight was long enough, I suppose. Either way, secure but no eye. Ends up being a trade. They still get to keep their 2,000, now nearly 3,000 gold lead.
Well, there is no eye in Herald. Let's have a look at it one more time.
Yeah, they just, like, look at how early it was secured, as nobody can get on top of it. It's just still waiting, still there, still there.
And that's what they were playing. They were playing the defend the eye.
Yeah. It looked really scary for Gen.G actually for a moment. Keen gets shoved back through. Everybody's so safe over this wall here, the blue buff wall, for T1, so there's just no punish. And Gen.G smartly, after that kill, get the hell out of there. So trying to force their way to that choke point against this Talia would have been further a disaster. But they do defend the eye and see that it's just going to be T1 grouping to Dragon now with the Prio. They just have Prio seemingly everywhere where they need it, especially. And it's this Jax, this Caitlyn, this gives them first rotation. That's going to be the second Dragon. We'll see what soul we get. Maybe your Cloud this time. Nope, that's already a first one, so...
Yeah.
Oh, Infernal.
It's going to be Infernal Soul. That is a big deal. Very, very dangerous Dragon. As T1 just continuing to stack up advantages. Yeah, we saw that it was a 1-for-1 trade. Gen.G were able to stand toe-to-toe, but unfortunately, the result was T1 get a little bit further ahead. The problem is also, they're the ones getting turrets. They're the ones with shove in every single lane, and they are so good at playing around this Caitlyn situation, right? Where they have the sieging capabilities, and Gen.G are always having to play reactionary.
I just wonder, outside of Duro getting a pick before a team fight breaks out, is Lilia really going to be the champion that could set a team fight win up for you when you're down on vision? You know, she's just so squishy. Like, for her to come in and try to set up a sleep, she needs a arm guard at least, or a Zhonya's. A stasis would make her so much more safe to try to make that type of play, but it's so expensive to budget that in. You know, you're ahead slightly over Owner, but you're not in a position where you can budget that extra gold right now very easily. It feels so expensive to do so. And then otherwise you're just kind of reliant on Keen setting up a front to back fight, which is possible but tricky when you don't have vision. So I think Duro is going to have to, you know, do some heavy lifting again, grab somebody right before a big objective, then maybe they can get that vision. Otherwise, it feels like the trough, you know, we're getting out of it. Guma's about to hit that 2-item spike. Faker is looking great. Jax was already a threat in sides because they allowed for him to be in the early to mid game, but in the late game, we all know what he could do against a Cassante when he's this far up, and you leave that guy alone for just a few seconds, turrets will disappear.
Yeah. I think Doran is where a lot of the T1 chips are in, as Keen standing on top of a ward. That is not what he wants, as he should be able to absorb some of this CC, but not able to absorb all of it. Eventually has to flash. and will use it to get out of there. But the rest of T1 now grouped up. They've got a minion wave, and they've got an inner turret, and they have 4 people looking to try and take this one down. Canyon spinning. Duro's getting on in here as the Tempered Fate will lock down 2, but the tower is not one of them. Now Canyon trying to spin around here, looking for the Lilting Lullaby as Doran will melt. And now Faker and Ruler facing off. It's like a tale as old as time, but this time Gumayushi going to be there with the ace in the hole. That is going to spell a disengage there from Ruler.
Yeah, Faker versus Ruler in the mid lane.
Another flash. Duro
Always
is activating, man. Activating Hex Splash.
He is. Faker versus Ruler in the mid lane is always a classic. Been some big moments across the years, especially at Worlds, but we're still in first match of regular season. The trade here will be Gen.G get Chovy to push and take out this turret in the top lane. He got basically the whole thing. He was given so much extra time there, but it's in trade for an inner. And T1 just keep going, well, if Gen.G are going to play it slow, we'll just group on this Jax, and he will kill a turret. And that's kind of been the name of the game this entire third and final one. Pushes his lead up 300 additional gold, gets the flash out of Keen. This mid turret also doesn't feel too sturdy when you consider how easy it is for T1 to group and take that one out as well.
And another really dangerous thing is the fact that T1 have stacked up 2 dragons and they've taken in a turret in the bottom lane. They have so much control over the bottom side of the map.
And their turret's full health.
Yeah. Every one of their turrets except for top, which is where Chovy had to be in order to try and take that one down.
And it was 100-0.
So healthy.
Yeah, I mean, until he went up there, that was full health as well.
Yeah.
Just had so much control of all 3 lanes. I do think that in terms of teamfight power, Gen.G have a lot. And I'm very nervous about Duro being in hook range of Keria, but they have a lot. It's just the lack of vision makes it so hard to play out. So they need to be very cautious and get vision where it's most appropriate around these objectives. The Dragon in 75 seconds is where they really need to be grouping and taking that vision away.
Duro also has his Mikhails completed as Chovy going to avoid the Tempered Fate. Canyon moving down as Ona taking some legitimate damage here from these mages. And Gen.G, I think they have an Otacon on the mind. I know this is a team that were struggling to work out how to make the best Otacon plays in the LCK Cup.
I forgot about that.
But let's see whether they can make some better ones now, as they have started it up. They have a lot of damage. But Ona, he's got an itchy smite finger. They do manage to land the hook, though. The Weaver's Wall comes in, and Faker is looking to try and defend. Mikhails onto Duro is pretty unnecessary here, but Gen.G, they're going to have to back away. This Otacon under 50% health.
I think T1 will just let it reset, though. There's no way to try to take this one away. It's just going to leash back to full health. And, you know, with all the damage done, Gen.G likely to give this up and back away. You have that ward there, but it's on the other side of the Otacon wall.
Yeah, Doran sneaking around here as well.
I think, you know, for T1, you're very happy with this result because now you get the faster push to mid. You just take out this final turret, although they're a little bit shy on committing.
Luckily for Gen.G, Keen had full health and was able to rotate down, and now the Dragon is available.
Yeah.
And this is the real difficulty, right? Because Gen.G cannot give up soul points.
But because T1 committed to that mid play, didn't go for vision instead, didn't get the turret, Gen.G actually get a little bit of vision here. They have prio on this Dragon, so this is where their team fighting can actually start to work, in theory.
Yeah. Ooh, bowling ball. Barely going to miss on a Faker, but does land on a Gumayushi there, as we can see.
I think this should
wanting to get in position. They're going to look for a fight. They're looking for Chovy, but Keen lands the Q. There's the hook, the 1-2-3 punch onto Faker, and it's Ruler that takes him down. The Chaos Storm now doing work as Chovy. He got out of there with a flash, but now he's getting back in. And Doran just trying to play this one defensively. Gen.G finally winning a fight and getting an objective.
Really important fight here for Gen.G, and they finally got to take it on their terms.
Oh, nice little Glacier Prison there from Ona, but unfortunately not a lot of follow-up.
Yeah, it's pretty tanky Cassante. They're going to turn this into a turret as well. Keria nearly caught by that hook from Duro, but we'll get out. Didn't have the flash. But yeah, this fight is really about Gen.G having control and having the setup. You can see how far away Guma is. He has the push in mid, but they can clear it so fast. It's a Victor who's got his upgrade on his E. So, yes, Chovy is the target here, but they end up getting the Dragon and they can just rotate over. Duro is in perfect position to grab a hook here, pushes Faker in, they grab him, and then T1 are just forced to retreat. They do get away, but it's going to cost them their turret as well as the Dragon.
Yeah, the Lilting Lullaby there from Canyon, the flash Q to make sure that Gumayushi could not keep free hitting, had to play full defense mode. So important.
Just keeping him out of the fight is really important when he's such a significant part of the damage here for T1.
And 3 items on the way for both of these 80 carries, both of them scaling so well into the later stages of the game as far as DPS, but Ruler will not have the same range that Gumayusi does have.
Chovy did finish Rod of Ages, but also naturally had a whole level lead on Faker, so finds himself 2 levels ahead of his opposition, finds himself 500 gold ahead on top of that, and is able to budget that extra arm guard into his build, can turn that into his Zonias later for additional safety. Make no mistake, there's an insane amount of damage packed into these 3 champions, the Lilia, the Victor, and the Xayah, especially if T1 end up going close to them and are unable to secure kills, or if they look for a pick, fail to get it, and then walk in.
Oh, hook gonna connect. It's not exactly your favorite hook target there in the Jax, and that is why Duro immediately says, ooh, no, thank you. I will not take that one. Didn't have to invest too much though. Did press the ultimate button, but as you can see, it's a blitz ult. It doesn't really, it doesn't have that long of a cooldown.
Even with the Otacon and Baron up here, Gen.G feels comfortable they can reset. There was no mid wave either for T1 to take the mid turret out. They're trying to with Guma, push that one in now, but Gen.G should be able to defend.
The topside vision here for T1 is absurd.
It's pretty crazy, and they're not utilizing it to start an objective just yet, although, as I say, if Faker goes in.
Yeah, there's a brilliant Tempered Fate there on to Chovy. And Ona has engaged, but I don't know whether they really want this because Keen looking for an angle. Doran is teleported in, but he might get Sleepy pushed back towards the Baron Pit. There's the all-out from Keen. Wanted to get him over the wall, but now he's 1v2, and the other 4 are looking for the rest of T1. Doran, likely the first one to go down, but Keen is getting lower and lower, and it's Gumayusi there to defend his top laner. Chovy, I don't know about that one, really wanted to kill his ex-top lane player, but no one is dead.
Yeah, but this is the time where T1 have to reset, and Gen.G are going to look to try to take the Baron. Back from Owner, I think. Oh, no, wait, he hasn't fully channeled, but he is backing. He has no vision, so waits for this. Could attempt to steal, as they don't know that he's there. He has that control ward, too.
Yeah, Weaver's all going to come in. Yeah, Carrier is the one that checks. As Ruler, Featherstorm is going to break that one. He looks for Faker, but he doesn't get it. The seismic shot going to connect with Faker is still going to be dead. There goes the Talia to start this one off. Duro finds the hook onto Ona. That's going to force the flash, and now Chovy comes in with the follow-up damage, and one after the other, the T1 players are falling. Ruler gets in there with those feathers, and the Baron should be next on the menu.
That might have been the game-winning moment there for Gen.G. It's not over yet, but grabbing Baron and Otacon off of this is going to be huge. It's going to take a while to take this Baron down, and some of these T1 members will respawn, but trying to gather up and fight just doesn't seem realistic. Owner doesn't finish his back. He decides, I'm going to stay here. We have to try to stop this. We have to stop the Baron. Otherwise, this game will surely be lost if they take both objectives. They feel priced into the play. This is moments, of course, before where Canyon's able to actually buffer this. The Tempered Fate catches him here, but there's no follow-up. And then Owner gets pulled back in, and this is never going to be an ideal fight here for T1. I love this teleport from Keen because it keeps T1 kind of trapped here. Then they end up getting fragmented and split by this Cassante. Doran takes a ton of damage, and Chovy is able to get control of the center of the fight here with his ultimate coming down as he chases T1 away. From here on out, things get really awkward for T1 because Owner's alive. He knows they're likely doing Baron. Carrier has to come over here and check. Faker ults in. They're so desperate to stop this objective, but they're just not grouped up. And even though Rua doesn't have the greatest callback here on his feathers, Faker is in no man's land. He is dead. Owner is zoned away, and Gen.G likely to get both objectives off of this. And that might be enough to really push them over the edge and win this game. They're taking the Otacon as we speak. T1 are.
Yeah, T1 have actually got on top of this. The Drake was picked up by Gen.G, but Gen.G also get into position to try and fight for the Otacon. Remember, this is not voracious. You don't just get the withdrawals as the Tempered Fate goes wide. So does the Glacial Prison. Chovy still not, sorry, Canyon not able to get the smite. And he also has to flash out of the way. So T1, they're the ones that get the buff, but unfortunately they don't get the extra flowers that are scattered all over the floor.
I really want to see how T1 was able to just get onto that Otacon. We'll have to wait and see. We were in a replay when it happened, but the smite was a little early there, and Owner secures it. So is it going to be the biggest? As you can see, Gen.G are the ones who have all the blood petal stacks here. The secure of the objective not as important with this one as it is with the voracious, but still.
And also, I actually misspoke. I thought, like, when I looked up to the top of the screen, I saw, like, there's an Infernal Dragon that was taken. That was the one that was taken earlier.
Yeah.
Gen.G just took the Baron and then went home.
Yeah.
And T1 booked it to the Otacon to try and take that one. So
that was
still a bunch of fight left in this team.
It's really risky to go straight from Baron into Otacon at that moment. A T1 are rushing towards it. But if you just back and T1 get on top of it, they have an opportunity for a crazy fight like this. They're not favored here necessarily. But when you look at the Otacon, look at how low it goes. It goes down to 1,000 here. They wait.
Oh, 657.
Yeah, and it's actually the smite that goes over to Owner, secures this one, and they leave. The plants, of course, do go over to Gen.G, so they end up getting the blood petals. They will not get the additional objective stats, but at the end of the day, I feel like Gen.G are okay with this situation. However, they lost a decent amount of Baron time from that contest.
Yeah, as Duro looks for the hook on a Faker, gets another flash. This guy is just taking flashes all over the Rift.
It's insane how many he's gotten.
He is the crank, man.
He is. He's 8 out of 9 KP this game. He is just having a fantastic time. But Gen.G, with this play, they push Faker away. That's a lot of the wave clear gone. That's a turret dead.
And 3.5k is the Rebel Baron power play here as well. Doran trying his best to get some split pushing happening towards the top side of the map. I got actually very confused in that initial fight where Canyon was not actually glacially prisoned because it was a Captain Jack McHale's from Duro that makes sure that he's kept alive. Then he's hit by the Tempered Fate, and it looked as if he'd used his Onyas, but he didn't have one of those either. So it was a very confused play-by-play commentator.
While he was
a very good play from Duro.
While he was also using his Eep to try to buy some space and distance in that moment as well, which almost made it look like he buffered it there.
That would have happened as well. But it was a lot of things stacked on top of each other.
Faker, right now, so close to a death cap. So close to massive amounts of damage to break through this front line. But with Gen.G having an insane amount of control at this moment in time, just to play so cautiously, wants to farm that last bit up. He has a Void Staff and Sork Shoe, so it's about as much damage as you can get on a Talia. Once that item is completed, it is going to be a huge spike for him. And this game is not over yet. I mean, Gen.G haven't broken open the base.
Oh no.
And we're still 2 Drakes apiece. What a banger series this has already been, but is continuing to be here.
And I think the next fight going to be around the Baron. Whoever gets that gets Soul Point on top of it. Going to be absolutely huge as Canyon comes on over and says thank you very much to his former top laner. And Ona now looking for Chovy. He'll get him. Chovy, remember, does have the Zonyas and has a gravity field as well that he can put down.
And Sejuani and Bard aren't known for 100-0ing a Victor.
Yeah, and they've got a teleport for their trouble as well. Actually pretty good for T1.
Yeah, actually going to be really happy with that. As, you know, ults, the ult is used for Owner, but on a relatively low cooldown will be available for the next fight easily.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's really huge for T1 that they were able to get so many of those turrets early. If they weren't able to do so, it'd feel so oppressive. It'd feel like they didn't have that many angles. Sure, they'd love to have some of the standing gold if they were up, but gold is still relatively even. At 32 minutes in, 3,000 gold means way less than it does at 15 minutes in. And again, Faker's looking for that final spike here. Death cap completed, level 16. He's been 2 levels down on Chovy, but he is going to do massive damage if he can get a shove. Maybe that's set up by Keria. Gen.G in complete control right now, but all it's going to take is one clutch play, one big fight here for T1, and they could win the upset here.
Oh, yeah.
It is 90 seconds until that dragon spawns, and Gen.G are stacking up that adaptive damage.
30 seconds until the Baron as well. Right now you can see there is a smattering of wards of the red variety there on the north of the map. Not a whole lot focused around the Dragon, but the Baron really is going to be the big prize. Ona taking the blue buff on vision here as well.
It's not possible really for T1 to get that deep vision cleared at this moment in time. Getting the blue buff is all they can hope for. And maybe if Faker's given some time to push out that top wave, you could try to wrap around, set up a Weaver's Wall, but if Gen.G play this slow and safe, it's so hard to punish them right now.
Yeah. So now, 2 seconds, Baron going to be up. Keen has access to a blast cone here, going to activate it, gets himself towards the Baron pit.
Now,
Ruler is waiting for an item. It looks like Infinity Edge is extraordinarily close. 4 items now done.
There it is. Yeah, it's done. If Chovy shows up to this Baron with the IE on Ruler and Canyon on this Lilia, the Baron just disappears. So T1 constantly have to be checking. They constantly have to be trying to leapfrog their vision into the pit. That control ward denying Keria access to seeing what is going on here, but they have to stay in this vicinity. When Chovy is missing, he could be TPing in to start the Baron at any moment. He is missing now. Might buy a Void Staff before he shows up.
I do really love this from Gen.G though. They're using Cassante to clear wards. And I think that is exactly what they need to do, because he is the one that can actually tank if there is an engage.
There's that TP, there's the voice.
Oh my god, look at how quickly this Baron goes down. Owner is trying to get into position. They have the Weaver's Wall. T1 know exactly what's going on as the Tempered Fate is going to delay the fight for a little while. Down to 3,000. Owner gets into the pit though, and Gen.G need to go down to 3, and it's Carrier that takes the Baron. What the actual hell? But Gen.G is still looking to win the fight. Keen finds the knockback, and Ruler is starting to layer these kills. But it's Gumayusi trying to kite, and he gets death rayed by Chovy. Ruler left alive, but so is the Goad, and Keen, he cannot kill him, and he'll let him slink off into the fog of war. The teleport to get Faker out as he denies the Baron, but he won't be able to deny the Dragon.
Yeah, he'll have some Baron-empowered minions to help slow this siege here. Ruler just has this one cannon minion, but look at how quickly he can take out this turret. Once it's gone, he should be able to then take out the inhibitor. Faker going to get some health back and maybe come over here and try to contest, but I just don't think it's worth it. Too risky to win the 1v1 against a 4-item Xayah. Down it goes. Go back to this moment here. Owner is able to slink his way into the pit. Crazy gets hooked here, has Glacial Augment, ults, and then the ult comes through from Carrier to buy enough time and space here. Look at this Baron as he flashes Keen's knockup, is in the pit. There's nothing they can do. 3 health! And it goes to Carrier, but unfortunately Owner is on the wrong side of the fight after this, does get picked off, and Ruler is going to be able to help carry with Toby. There's so much damage in this Gen.G lineup when they're in range, and when T1 have to walk towards the Baron and get into that range, they're all going to die, with the exception of Faker, who barely gets his way out here with a nice setup of the Unraveled Earth, and one more flip back, has to commit his teleport to escape.
Oh,
but man, what a fight, what a close situation that was, but Gen.G still walk out the victors. Even though Baron is up for T1, it's only on that victor, and they're not in a position to really siege the base. They lost their inhibitor in turn.
And triple Infernal to be picked up here by Gen.G as well. They get themselves the soul point. That is a big one, and man, Chovy with the Magi's Soul Stealer purchase here at 37 minutes into the game. He's 3-0-6 somehow. I actually feel like he's been in awkward positions throughout this game, but never once has he actually fallen.
He's then been positioned, or he's positioned himself in these team fights very well and has layered a ton of damage in and has spent a lot of the game in sides, just, you know, kind of clearing these waves and making sure they have full vision control. Now getting control over the Baron pit again, but less relevant here since T1 has the Baron. Yeah. And Gen.G, it's... with this composition, they have a decent amount of siege, but with the low-range Xayah, it doesn't feel like they're going to be able to do a whole lot when there's no objective up. Their biggest prize, of course, is going to be that next Dragon when it does spawn here in 3.5 minutes. Of course, the next Baron, too, could be an option for them as well, but going to be a bit of a lull state here as T1 just try to defend these mid-waves. If they make a mistake, if Gen.G are able to push vision up and maybe even wrap around some of those members trying to clear the mid-wave, there's technically an angle, but I feel like T1 know this game isn't over yet. They're on the back foot here, but they can buy themselves one more team fight. Likely. Again, without 100%. Any incidents, in 3 minutes' time, they get another opportunity because Gen.G just cannot siege them with this comp right now. Too low range.
And they're also going to have 6 items on Gumayusi extraordinarily quickly. 6 items already done for Ruler. Has that Bloodthirster as far as the advantage is concerned. Okay, this is Caitlyn is really going to do a lot of work and has so much range in comparison. Like you were talking about, Gen.G are really going to have to full commit if they want to be able to take down T1.
I mean, there's one flank ward that's now getting eliminated by Gen.G. That was one other angle T1 could have had to try to punish some of these pushes. Gen.G is playing it very safe. It's one of those boring Gen.G games, you know, where they just don't make mistakes.
Yeah, so boring.
But it's you know, in terms of their play, they're not going to push up and try to look for a play. They're just going to win slowly because they have all the cards. And so T1 just kind of sit back, clear it, and wait for that Dragon timer to run out. It's at the same time as the Baron.
And what they have to avoid is getting caught up in the moment, right? Going for a play like that, because right now, like you're saying, they can just suffocate T1 out, get themselves the Infernal Soul, get themselves the Baron, force T1 to check. But we've seen some teams take some liberties on that front in the past.
Guma finishing his build now in the position to do a ton of damage in these fights. Level 18. But can't fight what you can't see. And Gen.G have so many control wards. They've got line of wards through the center of the map as well. Maybe this ends up being a trade of objectives, but my money's kind of on the Infernal Soul as being the more valuable and more permanent objective at this point. Yes, we are 40 minutes into the game, and one team fight will probably just end the game either way. I think T1 will probably just have to follow Gen.G and fight them directly. Just so challenging when you consider this inhibitor is also still down. It will respawn, though, before the objectives, just barely.
Yeah, Gen.G really putting their cards towards this dragon, which will go down so extremely fast. I like that Ruler changed position there as they think that they've caught Canyon, but the follow-up is just not there. Faker.
Good Mikhails.
Yeah, going to get Mikhails so that he doesn't fall asleep, but Owner is going to get slowed down. Chovy on a flank angle, the flanking Victor, and they look like they've caught Gumayushi. The Chaos Storm goes down as they take the magical journey to get them to safety.
Crazy
and now, a teleport from Doran, who dives in on top of Chovy, does keep himself alive. The Tempered Fate to save the top laner, and it's all just, please, can we disengage on both sides? And they will agree to terms.
So many ultimates used here. Ruler and Keen, the big ones left available. Sure, Doran's got his, but he's a Jax. That's not an ultimate to write too much home about. 20 seconds until Baron. T1 are the ones who have to reset. There's fruit here picked up from Gen.G. They're going to sustain their way back up, and they may be able to start this simply on spawn. They do so much damage, Atlas, to this.
Yeah.
We saw it last time, and that was even more items on their side. T1 have to rush over to contest.
Every time these bowling balls land, it's so dangerous. But the Lilting Lullaby still with a few seconds left before that comes off cooldown.
Doran on a flank again.
Yeah. Keen, not really a target that he's looking for, but Ruler is right up there, actually looking for Owner. The amount of damage these feathers do is absurd, as Chovy as well, just pushing them back.
It's Baron time. They're just going to rush over and try to take this out.
Yeah.
T1 are going to trade it for Infernal Soul, but their base is the one that's open.
And it's Soul Point, it's not even Soul, so the Baron, so much more important here for Gen.G at this point in time.
Absolutely.
They will be able to take this one.
And I think that T1 just said, look, we're not in a position to fight this. Yeah, we have a decent amount of wave clear. We defended last time around with our own Baron, your Siege.
Take the next best thing. 100%.
Take the next best thing and try to back away. Try to play this one out for the next objective. But surviving this is going to be a little bit more difficult. Last time they didn't have the Siege, but this time they have super minions at least.
I was so terrified. Like, Ruler was kind of frontlining in that last moment. Was also kind of frontlining right then. As the ace in the hole doing a bunch of damage as well, as you can see, 6 items. On to Gumayushi. They've got the fully upgraded shoes as well, and now that we've got 6 items coming in for both teams, having feats of strength feels a whole lot better because you get those extra stats on top of all of the money that has been picked up on both sides.
Chovy is pretty far up here without any teammates. He could be a target of T1's. He just teleported too, so...
Oh, Doran actually not opting in for it. Didn't have full information and isn't going to risk it. Man, I agree with you, man. I thought that Chovy was dead. But does have Gravity Field, is actually pretty good at keeping himself alive when he's jumped on by a single melee target.
I thought maybe Keria, Magical Journey's over and eventually catches up with him and then he just gets collapsed on there by everybody, but Doran, without a lot of information, like you said, just doesn't want to throw the game there. From his perspective, that could have been exactly what happened as Duro has a hook angle potentially. Here he goes.
All right, can he win the game off the back of this one as he's just walking towards Doran? Oh,
predicting the Weaver's Wall timing.
Was thinking that Faker was going to come on over as well. Wasn't actually there and was a bit early on the hook regardless, but still they do get that cooldown as Canyon going to get flicked back, but the Glacial Prison misses because he gets put out of position with that seismic shove. Still the defensive wall of traps, and the fact that they can flick these siege minions towards these inhibitor turrets means that the defense from T1 is definitely scary.
They're just continuing to clear these waves.
Oh my, okay. Oh, every time he walks forward, I'm scared. As there is another Tempered Fate onto Ruler. Doesn't actually use anything. As the rest of Gen.G are moving over, the hook goes wide, seismic shove as well, no joy.
Mikhail's used there to guarantee there's no follow-up there on the Guma. They're going to clear this wave again, but Chovy's got this inhibitor on his mind. It's open, and down it goes.
Yep, that is the inhibitor.
And, I mean, now Gen.G still have a little bit of Baron left.
30 seconds.
They could try to collapse here onto T1 on that bottom turret as well. Something's going to have to give here.
Yeah, and Gen.G, they know that they have the advantage as they can push these minions in.
T1 may have to just find an engage. They may have to find an angle, otherwise it's going to get worn out of this game.
Yeah, that is just going to be the turret falling down, though. T1 realizing that they're going to have to defend under their Nexus turrets if they're going to do so. 14 seconds time.
Just so much damage.
Is going to wear off. Exactly right.
So much AP. I mean, they just basically two-tap these turrets if they get on top of them.
And T1 can't really find an angle there. Finally, the Weaver's Wall comes in again, but it is used just defensively as the Glacial Prison flies out once more. But it's not used to engage.
Baron's done. Minions are running out.
Oh, the hook barely going wide there as Thorin goes in, but he's just going to explode. Goes golden, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough. Tempered Fate there to start that one off, but he gets the leap strike out and he survives.
The turrets are still pretty healthy here. Does Gen.G have to wait for this wave of super minions?
Another turret going to fall down. 3 inhibitors will be taken by Gen.G. And T1, they're going to have to hard commit on something.
T1 don't have any teleport wards, no way to get around, and Gen.G are just going to get away.
Oh, never mind. So
but they don't get the
inhib.
They don't get the inhib.
Yeah.
They don't get the inhib. If they stay for that inhib, I think that's the one way T1 can find an angle on them. Longest game of the season, by the way.
Of course it is.
And Gen.G now have 2 inhibitors down, or T1 have 2 inhibitors down. Gen.G take 2, which gives them a lot of prio for their 4th potential Infernal Drake and the Soul to come with it. We've already talked about how much damage there is in this comp. I mean, Chovy's been sitting on 10 stacks of this forever because he's been 306 for feels like forever as well.
Yeah.
But like he's got so much damage. The Lilia has so much damage. And then when you add in the fact that they have all the stats from triple single elemental drakes, elemental infernal drakes, plus then the big boom boom that comes with the Soul if they secure it. I mean, they could just kind of walk at T1 and end the game at that point. So T1 have to, I mean, they have to group for this somehow, but
Chovy doesn't have teleport.
Yeah.
Oh, could have been an option, could have been an angle.
I think they have enough time to get him back, though.
Yeah. I wonder whether he's going to sell something. It could just be a sell the Magi's, buy a death cap, but instead he's just going to load up on... Oh, actually,
sell the rod.
Yeah, no,
sell the Magi's, yeah.
Yeah, sell the Magi's. 10 stacks, not enough. Grabs himself death cap. That is a very, very scary max
big
damage
upgrade.
Potential. Victor. And now going to actually teleport in, not taking any chances.
Yeah, the angle here for Faker both gives him a potential cross setup, but also allows him to clear out this bottom wave.
Quadra Infernal Soul has now been picked up by Gen.G.
I just don't think they can get into to win a fight. Faker has to clear this bottom wave. And Baron's not up for a minute, so it's not like they can trade. And T1 keep living a little bit longer, but it feels like they're just delaying the inevitable. As Gen.G seems so inevitable in this game. Their siege isn't great, but their wave clear is also fantastic. And when they have Baron, if they win this next fight, if they secure Baron with all the damage they have, I feel like there's no way T1 defend that one, right? I mean, they've defended so much, they've held on so long, but it feels like enough is enough at this point. Gen.G are too big to fail.
I mean, that's what it feels like. I just think so much of this comes down to both of these support players. I think if Duro lands a crazy hook onto someone and they blow up a single target, the game is over. I think if Carrier lands the best possible Tempered Fate in a team fight
into a big counter-strike.
Yeah, right.
I can see it.
The setup is definitely there. The amount of follow-up that they do have, if they can layer it in, is huge, but they need to be able to find a window to get that and avoid the explosive damage of Gen.G.
Chovy not having TP means he can't backdoor or anything like that.
Oh, hook is going to connect onto Owner. King going to push him back, but now Faker gets in there. They know that they have to commit to something as Chovy is also taken relatively low. The Chaos Storm in answer, though, and Canyon and Ruler, they're staying on the Baron.
They're staying on the Baron. T1 can't get there quickly enough. It's just gone.
Yeah, just taken. And Gen.G, they sacrifice half the health bar on Chovy. Still has flashes. Canyon's looking for an angle. Oh, Gumiushi could juke. Gets him out of the way. He's still got the 90 caliber net and 5 players alive on both sides.
Gen.G, I think they could just group as 5 and walk down the mid lane. The inhibitor is going to respawn in 40 seconds, but even if it did, I think they just blow it up a second time. They have so much damage here.
Oh, these bowling balls. The fishing here by Gen.G.
Incredible, respectful play from Gen.G as they look for the 3rd inhibitor.
Owner is going to look for a potential engage, but it's on to Kane. Another hook is going to go wide this time as inhibitors, all of them, now on the floor. And oh my god, Gumiushi! That headshot is exactly that, as now Keen, he's down low, the 3-man Tempered Fate, this might be the angle that they're looking for. The Featherstorm now on cooldown, but Gen.G, as long as they can walk away, they have an advantage.
Oh man, that has just been the story of this game. We got a Jin Air game on our hands.
I may actually have a heart attack, Wolf. I don't know. I think it's too much.
Okay, teleport coming through here from Keen. They're looking to take out this mid inhibitor again as it respawns and push down the mid lane.
Yeah, 15 seconds. And until the bottom inhibitor is also going to go down as Weaver's Wall to buy some space for T1.
I mean, once we get double super minions coming down the space, surely Gen.G can end with that, right?
I don't know! I really just don't know!
The wave clear is just so insane for T1. They can buy so much time.
I mean, at this point in the game, if T1 just kills all of them, they win the game.
They're hanging on by a thread of a thread. A thread of a thread here, but maybe a miracle play could happen. Tempered Fate, 1 second, it's back up. What do you got, Carrier? Where's the angle?
Ooh, another hook this time. Going to get sidestepped by Ona beautifully.
There it
Tempest
is!
connects. It's only onto Canyon this time around. Seismic shove, and Duro is already dead. Canyon goes down as well. T1, this might be the opportunity. This might be the angle. But Keen is a raid boss. Another double shove onto Chovy and Ruler. They are able to walk their way out. Still, it's Keen that's on the floor. And now T1, if you kill these two, they are just dead. Chovy, the one that could tank it and teleport to get Faker in there. And Ruler, he's got a Feather's Gone, but he does not have his life. Ona goes down, Chovy against the wall, and he gets two.
That's massive that Chovy's able to get those two. There's so many standing structures up for Gen.G.
I mean, Faker and
The death Chovy gets him!
Chovy, you psychopath!
He's got TP, but he's not going to be able to use it here. He's just going to go home.
Oh my god!
Wait, no, he's actually going to get TP in. He actually goes home and TP's in. Faker, not fast enough to get back.
He's got an army of minions. He has an army of minions and one Nexus turret between him and a regular season Game 3 victory against T1.
How good's the wave clear now? Alone against Chovy. Not good enough, Atlas.
The seismic shove is going to go wide. These Nexus turrets go down so quickly. Chovy is going to do it in the most heart-wrenching third game of any regular season of all time. And Gen.G will do it.
Chovy with the plays there at the end. If he doesn't get those kills, T1 continue to live. There's so many structures for them to kill, but they could get map control back, but he gets the kills, gets away, gets home, and TP's back to end. So many minions, so many defenses for T1. How many of those pushes did they defend? 4, was it 5 of Gen.G's, where Baron is up, inhibitors are down, they held on, but Gen.G, slow and steady, wins the race, safe, calm and collected, and finally they're able to take the third win. What a great first matchup between these two, and Keen will take his 400th win.
Just an easy 400 wins there for Keen, no worries at all. Evens out as far as the full LCK win record with Lehens, his former teammate. Very, very cool stuff. Helper there is, yeah, I could imagine probably also feeling some heart palpitations after that one. What an incredible series.
For just one moment, I thought T1 maybe could pull it back. One moment when that...
There were a few moments at the end there.
I mean, when the Tempered Fate hits and Faker had the follow-up shove, I thought we were going to see the craziest comeback, the biggest miracle defense to win. I mean, that alone wouldn't have won them the game, but they would have prolonged it and then had a better chance to actually win it later. But Chovy said no.
Yeah, Duro.
And Duro said, I've controlled this early game. I took so many flashes. Probably double digits of flashes across that game.
Not only enemy flashes, but also his own flash, which is what I truly respect in this game. But
I am sweating.
Me too.
Drenched.
But what an absolute joy this series was. And the best part about it is, do you know what we learned? We learned that T1 and Gen.G are both really good teams. As this girl made a bet to one-shot a Cass if Gen.G were to win this. And for Keen's 400th win,
and she did it.
And she did it. Nice work.
Clean.
Oh my god, man.
I mean...
Let's have a look at some damage numbers, shall we? That's going to be fun. Let's have a look at some highlights first.
I look at this game and I'm like, could either of these teams been like any more resilient? The fact that Gen.G knew that there were so many ways and so many different combos that T1 could beat them with that they constantly played it safe. They never got too aggressive. They never overstepped their boundaries until the very end, but it was still Chovy who cleaned up and they still win the game. But beyond that moment, they were like, I will never lose this game. I will win it 100 out of 100 times, 100 different scenarios. We play it like this, you win it every single time. And T1 were like, we will not lose this game. We will clear these waves. We will defend, and we'll wait for you to make one mistake. We will finally find that mistake, and we'll find, otherwise there's no way we can win this game. We can never win a fight on our terms. And they waited and waited and waited. And like, I don't know, watching both of these two teams just play to their peak best was just simply a treat. This was the moment where maybe T1 could have gone back in.
And it's precisely what we were talking about, right? It's the Tempered Fate that's going to get the pick that they needed. Duro probably didn't need to walk into the seismic shove, but this double shove to follow it up on both carries from Faker.
Look at how low Chovy is. Guma's full health here.
And
look at the Infernal Soul damage.
Guma dies to 2 death rays. He got hit by that one just there at full health. And then Ruler just goes completely ballistic, but that sets it up for Chovy. And now look at this. Chovy versus both Faker and Gumayushi. And Faker does clear out the vision, and then Death Ray predicts him walking over.
Just perfect. And then here, I actually thought Chovy was going for a TP back to the base, so he wouldn't be able to TP to end, but he actually is just able to full channel, has the empowered Baron recall, gets back to the base, then TP's in for the end. If Faker finds him there too, maybe it's a different scenario, but he got just enough space away.
That is the smallest 35k damage I've ever seen on a graph. As both Gumayusi and Chovy doing 55k in one game. 50 minutes, our longest so far of the season. It has only been 1 week, as this is the final game of the week. Thankfully, I imagine the entire team going to need a couple of days break before we get back